a shocking report that could change everything for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could finally get some help for Joey Porter Jr. at the cornerback position in the form of Jaire Alexander. The Packers corner was just placed on the trade block, and the Steelers are listed as a potential landing spot for the former All-Pro Jaire Alexander. Welcome to Steelers Digest. My name is Remington Kuhn. Today we're going to talk about Jaire Alexander being placed on the trade block by the Green Bay Packers and the Steelers being a possible option. But before we get into it, I want you guys to subscribe to the channel. 90% of you are not yet subscribed to Steelers Digest. If you want the latest Pittsburgh Steelers content throughout the offseason, rumors, news, updates, analysis, anything regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers, hit that sub button and we will keep you up to date with daily coverage of your Steelers. Here we go, and let's roll on to Jaire Alexander, a top NFL cornerback being placed on the trade block. And this isn't something you see every day, so it's something we have to talk about here on Steelers Digest. Obviously, one of the main positions of need for the Steelers is cornerback. We obviously have to address the quarterback position first, but cornerback played a big role in the Steelers struggling down the stretch last year. We need some help for the young Joey Porter Jr., and it could come in the form of Jaire Alexander. This is a phenomenal young player for the Green Bay Packers that I didn't expect to see on the trade block, but the report from Ian Rappaport, the rap sheet, said that developing story, Jaire Alexander could be on his way out of Green Bay. He's 28 years old, a two-time Pro Bowler, is connected to a bunch of different teams, and is possibly a better option than a lot of the free agent cornerbacks available right now. And that's why the Steelers could be in the market for Jaire Alexander, because the corners on the free agent market are a little bit more depleted than this star-level corner when he's healthy. And that's been the biggest question with Jaire Alexander is, can he stay healthy? And he hasn't been able to so far in his career with the Green Bay Packers. As good as he's been when he's on the field, they can't rely on him. So now they're willing to move on from the 28-year-old because he has this crazy cap hit, $24.9 million in 2025 and then $27.3 million in 2026. He was once the highest paid corner in the NFL, not anymore, but he's still a shutdown corner when he can stay healthy. 7-year career, he has 12 interceptions, 70 passes defended, and 244 receptions allowed on 413 targets in coverage. So he's actually a very good corner, and I've always been a fan of Jaire, and I think he'd be a perfect fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is a big problem. We have to address the cornerback position. We tried Patrick Peterson. That didn't work. He was well past his prime. This is a guy that's still in the prime of his career. This is a guy that could actually make the Steelers secondary formidable, and that's the main problem for the Steelers defense. So let's dive in to Pittsburgh's defense last year, because the pass defense needs so much help. Dante Jackson was one of the worst cornerbacks in the NFL last year down the stretch, ranking in the 180s out of 216 cornerbacks. It was very bad, according to Pro Football Focus, especially in the last few games of the season. When the Steelers started losing, there was a direct correlation to our secondary playing much worse. And Joey Porter Jr. is the only one you could rely on. And even him continuing to develop, continue to learn how to not take penalties, has been a learning curve for Joey Porter Jr., adjusting to the NFL level compared to college where he played at Penn State. But right now, our total defense is not really a problem. Our defense was fine up until late in the season. We have one of the best defenses in the league pretty much all year. So you look at this chart, total defense, the Steelers coming in at 12th. Okay, so that's fine. No worries. Okay, let's look at the next portion of this. Scoring defense. Okay, where are we at? We're 8th. That's top 10. That's good. That's fine. The Steelers allowing points allowed per game, only about 20 points per game. So let's move on to the next part of this. Rushing yards allowed. Okay, how was our run defense? 6th. So top 10 as well. Almost top 5 rush defense. Very good. Very good for the Steelers. Okay, what's next? Pass defense. And there is the problem. It's going to show itself if you dive into every detailed aspect of the defense from last year. You can look at the scoring defense. You can look at the total defense. The red zone defense was good. The run defense was good. Third down defense was exceptional. Pass defense was very, very, very bad. And it's mostly the cornerback position. Our safeties haven't played up to par either. I loved what Deshaun Elliott brought to the table last year. I hope we hang on to him. Mika Fitzpatrick, maybe it's time for him to go, but right now we just need to find a second cornerback to go with Joey Porter. It's not Dante Jackson. It's definitely not Corey Trice. It's probably not Beanie Bishop, I would say. We need a corner. And Jaire Alexander fits the mold of what the Steelers need right now, and he could help this pass defense that was one of the worst in football, 25th out of 32 teams, allowing 228 passing yards per game. But right now, the only guy I trust on our roster that's a corner is Joey Porter Jr. And of course, he's continuing to develop. I'd like to see a running mate for him. I'd like to see Jaire. Jaire could be it. And Pittsburgh is listed as one of the top fits for Jaire Alexander. And that's proof that I'm not just making this up. When I saw this report, my immediate thought was Pittsburgh, 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 Pittsburgh. Now, that might be the Steelers fan in me thinking that. But when I started reading about it, there weren't any mentions of the Steelers. And then I started to dive into, okay, what about the potential landing spots for Jaire Alexander? And that's when I stumbled across these type of articles where they actually were able to give me teams as far as teams that would fit, teams that Jaire would go to and actually work. Because obviously the Packers wouldn't prefer to get rid of him, but at this point in his career and this point in his contract, the cap hit's just not worth it. And him not being able to stay on the field is not worth it. So it is a big risk. But as bad as the Steelers' corners have been, I think it's a risk worth taking. And the Steelers are listed as the third best option for Jaire Alexander. The Packers and the Steelers just struck a deal last trade deadline for Preston Smith during the 2024 season. And they have reason to reconnect here because Joey Porter Jr. is great, but they need a proven counterpart, just like I said. And with more than $60 million in projected cap space, money wouldn't necessarily be an issue. You're talking $25, $27 million for Jaire. I think that's worth it because you're not going to find that on the market either. You could pay a corner, but he's not going to be Jaire Alexander. So his feisty play style would fit right into the Steelers culture. And I think Mike Tomlin would love Jaire. I think he's a Steelers type of guy. I'm a big fan of Jaire Alexander. I really am. So I would be very excited if the Steelers could get their hands on this dude. I really do believe that this is a match made in heaven, something that could work out exceptionally well for both sides. Jaire needs a change of scenery. We know what he can be. We've seen him in his prime in Green Bay. Steelers desperately need cornerback help. They have the cap space. He would fit perfectly in their culture, perfectly with this team. A position of need. It's not every day that a player like Jaire Alexander is on the trade block, and when he is, you have to go make a move. And Omar Khan cannot be afraid to make the wrong call here. He has to go get Jaire Alexander. You only have one more year after this upcoming year that he's under contract. If he can't stay healthy, then so be it. But this is an experiment that's worth trying because of how good this guy can be. So I'd like to see the Steelers make the move. We've talked about the reasons why they should make the move. Omar Khan, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Get it done. We need Jaire Alexander in Pittsburgh. Find a way. Thank you guys for watching this video, this episode of Steelers Digest. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we will continue to provide daily Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Here we go, and we'll see you on the next one.